ladies and gentlemen. Have you ever found yourself stuck in a loop of thinking, planning, and overanalyzing, while the thing you truly want remains just out of reach? Today, we're here to break free from that loop. The message is simple but powerful. Stop thinking, start doing. Courage over comfort is a principle that challenges us to prioritize growth, authenticity, and meaningful action over the temporary ease of staying in our comfort zones. Comfort can feel like a warm, safe place, a space where we know what to expect, where risks are minimal, and where we are shielded from the fear of failure or judgment. But comfort, while seductive, can also be a trap. It keeps us from reaching our full potential, from discovering what we're truly capable of, and from embracing the richness of life's opportunities. To choose courage over comfort is to make a deliberate decision to step into uncertainty, to embrace vulnerability, and to pursue a life aligned with our values, even when it feels uncomfortable. Courage doesn't mean the absence of fear. It means acting in spite of it. Fear is a natural response to the unknown, to risk, and to the possibility of failure. But what often holds us back is not the fear itself, but our unwillingness to sit with it. We believe that comfort protects us, but in reality, it keeps us stuck. Growth happens in the realm of discomfort. It's in the moments where we feel stretched, exposed, and uncertain that we gain the most clarity, strength, and resilience. Courage is the willingness to step into those moments, trusting that the process will lead us somewhere meaningful, even if we can't predict the outcome. Choosing courage over comfort requires us to confront our inner narratives, the stories we tell ourselves about why we can't or shouldn't take action. These stories often sound like, I'm not ready, what if I fail, or it's too risky. While these thoughts might feel protective, they are often based on fear rather than truth. To be courageous, we must question these narratives and choose to act in alignment with our values and goals instead of succumbing to the fear of what might go wrong. Courage is about leaning into the discomfort of not knowing and trusting that we'll figure things out along the way. One of the most powerful outcomes of choosing courage is the deep sense of fulfillment it brings. When we step out of our comfort zones, we may stumble, but we also learn, grow, and gain confidence in our ability to navigate challenges. Courage strengthens us. It builds resilience, teaches us to face uncertainty with grace, and helps us to create lives that feel meaningful and authentic. While comfort might offer a temporary sense of relief, it cannot match the profound joy and satisfaction that comes from living courageously. The truth is, courage doesn't always look bold or dramatic. Sometimes it's a quiet decision to speak up when it's easier to stay silent, to take the first step toward a daunting goal, or to simply show up as your true self in a world that often encourages conformity. These acts of courage may seem small, but they have the power to transform your life. They open the door to possibilities that comfort will never offer. Choosing courage over comfort isn't always easy, but it is always worth it. Imperfect progress is still progress, and in many ways it is the most authentic and transformative kind. There's a pervasive myth that progress must be linear, flawless, or grand to matter. We're often conditioned to believe that if we can't do something perfectly, it's not worth doing at all. But this mindset stifles growth, creativity, and possibility. The truth is, progress is rarely perfect. It's messy, full of detours, and sometimes riddled with mistakes. Yet every small, imperfect step forward brings us closer to our goals and shapes us into stronger, more resilient versions of ourselves. Progress is about movement, not perfection. The act of taking a step, even if it's hesitant or uncertain, creates momentum. When we insist on perfection before we act, we often stay stuck, paralyzed by the fear of getting it wrong or falling short. But life isn't a polished performance, it's an unfolding process. What matters isn't how flawless the journey looks, but that we are moving forward, learning, and growing along the way. Mistakes and missteps are not signs of failure. They are evidence that we're trying, that we're putting ourselves out there, and that we're making an effort. Imperfect progress teaches us invaluable lessons that perfection never could. When we make mistakes, we gain insights into what works and what doesn't. We build resilience, adaptability, and problem-solving skills. Perfection, on the other hand, often leads to stagnation because it's impossible to achieve and ultimately discourages us from trying. Embracing imperfection allows us to see setbacks not as endpoints but as opportunities to recalibrate and refine our approach. Every stumble is a step closer to understanding, and every imperfection brings us closer to authenticity. Focusing on progress over perfection also frees us from the crippling weight of comparison. In a world where we are constantly exposed to curated highlights of others' lives, it's easy to feel like we're falling short. But when we shift our focus to our own path and celebrate even the smallest steps forward, we reclaim our power. It's not about measuring up to someone else's version of success. It's about moving toward our own goals, however imperfectly. Progress is deeply personal, and every inch forward is a victory worth celebrating. Imperfect progress builds confidence. Each step we take reinforces the belief that we are capable, even when the road is challenging. This confidence doesn't come from having all the answers or never making mistakes. It comes from the courage to try, to show up, and to keep going, no matter how bumpy the path. It's through this persistence that we discover our strength and potential. The idea that imperfect progress is still progress is a reminder to be kind to ourselves. Life isn't a race to perfection, it's a journey of growth and discovery. When we embrace imperfection, we give ourselves permission to evolve, to learn, and to move forward in a way that is real, meaningful, and true to who we are. Every step matters and every effort counts. Daring to be vulnerable is one of the most challenging yet liberating decisions we can make. Vulnerability is often misunderstood as a weakness, a flaw, or something to be avoided. In reality, it is a profound source of strength and the foundation of authentic connection, growth, and creativity. To be vulnerable means to show up as our true selves, without the armor of perfection or the fear of judgment. It requires courage to expose our fears, dreams, and imperfections, but it is in this raw honesty that we find what truly matters. Vulnerability begins with the willingness to let go of control. Many of us strive to control how others perceive us, carefully curating an image that feels safe and accepted. We wear masks to hide the parts of ourselves we fear might be judged or misunderstood. But this control comes at a cost. It keeps us from being seen for who we really are. True connection can only happen when we allow ourselves to be vulnerable, to be imperfect, and to be real. It's in the moments when we say, "This is me," that we create space for meaningful relationships and deep understanding. Taking the risk of vulnerability also opens the door to growth and creativity. When we dare to put our ideas, feelings, or efforts out into the world, we invite the possibility of failure. This is what makes vulnerability feel so risky. It requires us to face uncertainty and risk rejection. But this same uncertainty is where innovation and progress thrive. Without vulnerability, we stay in our comfort zones, avoiding the discomfort of the unknown. Yet it is only by stepping into that discomfort that we can truly grow, create, and make a difference. Vulnerability, then, is not a weakness, but the birthplace of courage, innovation, and change. Being vulnerable means embracing imperfection and learning to see it as a part of our humanity. Too often we feel pressured to be flawless, to have all the answers, or to achieve without stumbling. But this pressure isolates us and sets us up for burnout and disappointment. When we allow ourselves to be vulnerable, we accept that imperfection is not only inevitable, but also valuable. It's through our struggles and failures that we gain wisdom, empathy, and resilience. Sharing these experiences with others not only helps us heal, but also reminds those around us that they are not alone. Daring to be vulnerable also cultivates deeper self-awareness and self-acceptance. When we stop hiding behind walls of invulnerability, we begin to understand ourselves on a deeper level. We learn what truly matters to us, what drives us, and where our strengths and limits lie. This self-awareness empowers us to make choices that align with our values and aspirations, leading to a more fulfilling and authentic life. Vulnerability is a profound act of courage. It's about showing up fully, even when there are no guarantees of acceptance or success. It's about valuing authenticity over perfection and connection over self-protection. To dare to be vulnerable is to choose a life of meaning, growth, and wholehearted living. The power of small steps lies in their ability to transform dreams into reality, one manageable action at a time. When we set big goals or face daunting challenges, the sheer scale of what lies ahead can feel overwhelming. We find ourselves stuck in analysis paralysis, unsure of where to start or how to proceed. But this is where the magic of small steps comes into play. By breaking down big ambitions into smaller, achievable actions, we build momentum, gain confidence, and move steadily toward our goals. Small steps are deceptively simple, yet incredibly powerful. They strip away the intimidation of the larger task and give us something tangible to focus on. Whether it's writing a single paragraph for a book, making one phone call to start a business connection, or committing to a 10-minute walk as the first step toward fitness, small actions are approachable. They feel doable, which is why they are so effective. Each step we take reinforces the belief that progress is possible, and that belief is often the fuel we need to keep going. What makes small steps so transformative is their cumulative effect. Individually, a small action might seem insignificant, but when repeated consistently over time, it creates momentum. Think of a snowball rolling downhill, gradually growing larger and more powerful with every turn. This is how small steps work. A single act repeated daily can lead to massive life-changing results. Writing 200 words a day may not seem like much, but in a year, it becomes a full-length novel. Saving a small amount of money each week might feel trivial, but over time, it can build a financial cushion or fund a dream. Small steps also build resilience and adaptability. Life is unpredictable, and grand plans can often be derailed by unexpected events. But small incremental actions are easier to adjust and sustain even in the face of challenges. If a plan needs to change, it's much simpler to redirect or reshape a small step than to overhaul an entire strategy. This flexibility makes small steps a sustainable way to tackle long-term goals, ensuring that progress continues even when circumstances shift. Another advantage of small steps is their ability to combat fear and procrastination. Large goals often feel overwhelming because they carry the weight of uncertainty and the risk of failure. Small steps, however, reduce that weight. They allow us to focus on what's immediately in front of us rather than the daunting entirety of the journey. By taking one step at a time, we can face fear in manageable doses and gradually build the confidence needed to tackle larger challenges. Small steps embody the idea that progress, no matter how modest, is still progress. They remind us that every journey begins with a single step and that the path to achievement is paved with consistent effort. When we embrace the power of small steps, we learn that success is not about giant leaps or perfect plans, but about steady, determined movement forward one step at a time. Action is one of the most effective remedies for fear, a force that often thrives in inactivity. Fear feeds on hesitation, growing stronger when we dwell on worst-case scenarios, overthink outcomes, or avoid taking steps toward our goals. It creates a paralyzing cycle where inaction reinforces anxiety, making it even harder to move forward. The solution is deceptively simple yet profoundly powerful: take action. Even the smallest step disrupts fear's grip and begins to replace it with confidence and momentum. Fear often stems from uncertainty. When we face an unknown situation, our minds naturally fill the void with doubts and negative possibilities. This is a survival instinct meant to keep us safe from potential harm. But in modern life, fear frequently shows up in situations where the actual danger is minimal, and the greater risk is staying stagnant. Fear exaggerates risks and undermines our abilities, convincing us that we are not ready, not capable, or that failure is inevitable. Taking action challenges these narratives, proving to ourselves that we can face uncertainty and adapt. Action shifts our focus away from fear and toward problem solving. When we act, we engage with the present moment, channeling our energy into something constructive. This shift is transformative. Fear thrives in the hypothetical, in the what-ifs and imagined catastrophes. Action, however, is grounded in reality. It forces us to confront the situation as it is, rather than as we fear it might be. This not only diminishes fear's power, but also provides us with valuable feedback. Whether the action succeeds or not, we gain information, experience, and clarity, which in turn reduces uncertainty and builds resilience. Action builds momentum, which is a key antidote to fear. The hardest part of overcoming fear is often taking the first step. But once we do, each subsequent step becomes easier. Momentum creates a sense of progress which fuels motivation and diminishes the hold fear has over us. Even small actions like making a phone call, starting a conversation, or writing a plan can set this process in motion. Each step we take reinforces the belief that we are capable and that fear, while present, does not define us. Another reason action is so effective against fear is that it transforms the way we perceive failure. Fear often paralyzes us because we equate failure with personal inadequacy. But when we take action, we begin to see failure differently, not as an endpoint, but as part of the learning process. Each attempt, whether successful or not, provides insights and moves us closer to our goals. Action reframes failure as feedback, which reduces its emotional sting and gives us the courage to keep trying. Action is a powerful reminder that fear is not an insurmountable barrier, but a feeling that can be confronted and overcome. By acting despite fear, we reclaim our agency and demonstrate to ourselves that we are stronger than our doubts. With every step we take, fear's voice grows quieter, replaced by confidence, determination, and the knowledge that progress is always within our reach. Redefining failure is one of the most liberating shifts we can make in our mindset. For many, failure carries a heavy weight, often seen as evidence of inadequacy or an endpoint that signals defeat. But this perspective is limiting and robs us of the immense value that failure can offer. When we redefine failure, we transform it from something to fear into something to embrace a necessary and even valuable part of growth, learning, and eventual success. Failure becomes not a judgment of worth, but a stepping stone toward achieving our goals. The first step in redefining failure is understanding that it is not a reflection of who we are. Too often, people internalize failure, equating a mistake or setback with a lack of ability, intelligence, or potential. But failure is simply a result, an outcome of trying something new, taking risks, or stepping outside our comfort zones. It's not an indication of our character or worth, but rather a marker of effort and action. By separating our identity from the outcomes of our efforts, we can approach failure with curiosity instead of shame. Failure is an essential part of the learning process. It provides us with feedback, showing us what doesn't work and offering clues about what might. Every misstep teaches us something valuable about the task at hand, about our approach, and about ourselves. Without failure, growth is impossible because it is through failure that we refine our methods, sharpen our skills, and gain the resilience needed to keep moving forward. History is filled with examples of people who failed repeatedly before achieving success. from Thomas Edison's of thousands of attempts at inventing the light bulb to J.K. Rowling's many rejections before the Harry Potter series was published. Their stories remind us that failure is not a final destination, but a necessary waypoint on the journey to success. Redefining failure also means shifting our focus from the outcome to the effort. Society often glorifies results, winning, achieving, and succeeding, while overlooking the value of persistence, creativity, and risk-taking. But it's in the effort, not just the outcome, where the true growth happens. When we value the process and celebrate the courage it takes to try, we free ourselves from the fear of failing. This shift allows us to take bolder risks and embrace challenges that might once have seemed too intimidating. Failure builds resilience. It teaches us how to handle setbacks and adapt to unforeseen circumstances. When we experience failure and choose to keep going, we prove to ourselves that we are capable of enduring difficulty and emerging stronger. This resilience doesn't just help us in moments of failure, it becomes a foundation for navigating all aspects of life with confidence and determination. Redefining failure ultimately comes down to viewing it not as the opposite of success, but as part of its path. Failure is a sign that we are trying, learning, and growing. It means we're daring to take risks and push boundaries. When we embrace failure as a teacher rather than a verdict, we unlock the freedom to pursue our goals wholeheartedly, knowing that every setback brings us one step closer to achieving them. Trusting yourself is one of the most empowering decisions you can make. It's about believing in your ability to navigate life's challenges, make sound decisions, and adapt when things don't go as planned. Yet for many, self-trust feels elusive, often overshadowed by self-doubt, fear of failure, or the need for external validation. Building trust in yourself is not about being perfect or always getting it right. It's about cultivating confidence in your ability to handle whatever comes your way. Self-trust begins with listening to your inner voice. In a world full of noise, advice, and opinions, it's easy to lose touch with your instincts. Friends, family, and society often have well-meaning suggestions, but no one knows your journey, values, and dreams better than you do. Trusting yourself means tuning into that inner compass and allowing it to guide your choices. This doesn't mean ignoring others' input, but rather weighing it against your own judgment and honoring what feels right to you. Your intuition is a powerful tool, one that grows sharper the more you use it. One of the biggest barriers to self-trust is the fear of making mistakes. We often equate trust with infallibility, believing that to trust ourselves means we'll never falter. But trust isn't about avoiding failure. It's about knowing that even if you make a mistake, you can recover, learn, and keep moving forward. Mistakes are inevitable, and they're often the best teachers. When you trust yourself, you accept that missteps are part of the journey and that they don't diminish your worth or capabilities. Instead of dwelling on what went wrong, you focus on what you can do next. Trusting yourself also requires breaking free from the need for constant external approval. Many people look to others for validation, hoping that someone else's opinion will confirm their choices are correct. While feedback can be valuable, relying on it excessively can undermine your confidence in your own judgment. Self-trust is about recognizing that your decisions don't need to be universally accepted to be right for you. It's about standing firm in your choices, even if others disagree. This doesn't mean arrogance or unwillingness to consider other perspectives. It means prioritizing your truth over external validation. Building self-trust is a practice, one that grows through small, consistent actions. Every time you follow through on a commitment to yourself, you reinforce the belief that you can depend on yourself. Whether it's sticking to a goal, setting a boundary, or pursuing a dream, each act of self-alignment strengthens your trust in your own abilities. Over time, this trust becomes a foundation that allows you to take risks, face challenges, and move through life with greater ease and confidence. Trusting yourself is about embracing your humanity. It's about knowing that you don't need to have all the answers or be perfect to be worthy of your own trust. It's the quiet assurance that you can handle whatever comes your way because you are resourceful, resilient, and capable. When you trust yourself, you unlock a sense of freedom and empowerment that no external validation can provide.